what we worked on last week, and so for those of you, this is the first time, we are doing mindfulness meditation. So it's an introductory course with the FPMT. And what we were doing last week, we were looking at mindfulness of breathing. So some of you may have experienced a meditation like this in the 9-round breathing, or in the body of simple purification meditation, where you breathe in blissful radiant white light and you breathe out all the negativities as kind of thick black yucky smoke. But this was a little bit less descriptive. So you just imagine all the unhelpful thoughts as you were breathing them out as kind of like darkness or smoke or something like that. So that was that step, and we are going to review that meditation today. So Erin, you'll get to catch up a little bit, and then we're going to move on to the mindfulness of thoughts, discernment, wisdom, and then also we will move on to, more thoughts that are more likely to serve us, rather than we tend to have a lot of negative self-talk. A lot of that negative self-talk we aren't even aware of. It's a subtext that's running underneath us due to our upbringing, due to our culture, due to so many things that impact us, memories from childhood, relationships, so many things. So what is really good to do, I think somebody said last week, I don't know if it was you, Karen. Oh no, I think it was somebody else. Somebody said last week, because we were looking at thoughts, meditation of thoughts, and someone said, oh, well, I started to notice how many there were. They just kept coming. And that's just how it is. Our mind is like a river of mental moments. It's constantly going, constantly processing, constantly taking in information and trying to figure everything out. I mean, even from the simple process of waking up in the morning and walking down to the bathroom, we have to engage in an awful lot of thinking in order to get there. So the thing is also too, the minute you start to focus on your thoughts, you're going to start to see, hi Susan, you're going to start to see or recognize or become aware of more. And what I think is really helpful is to learn, even just in basic psychology, is to learn what thoughts there are that are flowing through your mind that don't really serve you, that either are not based in reality, or may be unkind to yourself. And maybe you can think, well, would I talk this way to my best friend? Would I talk this way to a child? Probably not. But we're so happy to talk that way to ourselves. It's ridiculous. And so we need to kind of start thinking about replacing a lot of this negative self-talk, because if you're constantly thinking like that all the time, and then you sort of, oh, I don't know why I'm depressed. Of course you're depressed, because it's like you're putting yourself down all the time. And I'm just kidding. I've got to go back to gallery because I don't want to look at myself. Okay. All right. So let's just settle into our meditation. And for those of you who this is your first session, mindfulness tends to be more about, in the way it's been taken in the general milieu of society now, it's being kind of offered in schools, it's offered in workplaces. I think I get the understanding that sometimes they're trying to get people to stop thinking. It's not possible to do that. You just have to become more aware of what's going on in the mind. Anyway, it doesn't particularly matter that you missed the first, but you can catch up online. I think you'll probably find that they are there. So if you are interested, you can just go back over. They're on YouTube. So you can catch up if you want to. Same with you, Erin. If you just go Tupla Noble Ling and then my name, and it'll come up. Okay, so let's get started, and looks like Venerable Palmo's late, so we won't wait for her. So let's just settle into your meditation posture. And we can do that for those of you who are sitting at a desk with your feet down, have them in a parallel position. And really, but for those of you who are actually sitting on a chair or in the cross-legged position or a cushion, for both sets of people, really try to be sitting on top of your sits bones. So don't let your sacrum kind of slip back, because what happens, as you may be able to see in the video, my shoulders start to round, and it's not great for the spine. So it's good to be sitting on top of your sits bones as much as you can, your shoulders aligned with the hips. And then as much as you can, again, the chin aligned with the ears aligned with the shoulders. And just really focus on lengthening your spine. So we're not forcing ourselves to sit up straight. We just want to have the spine lengthened. And almost as if you are drawing an arc on the ceiling with a crayon that's tied to the top of your head. Just imagine reaching for the ceiling with that crayon and then drawing a little arc. So you're getting a little bit of traction in the back of the neck as you drop the chin down very slightly. So try not to kind of collapse your neck. Just hinge from the top of the neck. And if your eyes were open, they'd be down, looking along the length of the nose. The tip of the tongue is generally advised to be on the roof of the mouth, and relax the jaw. And just bring your awareness to the crown of the head and release all the tension in the scalp and the face, the back of the head, and the jaw, the back of the tongue, the ears, the temples, and relax the neck, the throat. Relax your shoulders and allow your shoulder blades to just drop down, and release the belly and all of your limbs. And just for a moment, bring the mind to the breath and think we're doing this meditation course so we can increase our understanding about our own practice, of meditation, and also to have a look inside our mind so we can eventually learn what's there, so we can be of benefit to others. So we're going back to this body of breath. And after we've done this, I just wanted to check in with everyone to find out how it went for them, or if anything came up from last week. So bring your attention again to your body, and just be in touch with any sensations as we settle into meditation. And you may notice some areas of softness, ease, and relaxation with comfortable feelings. And can we welcome these feelings and allow ourselves to enjoy them while they're here, because nothing's permanent. And then also notice areas of tension or tightness and uncomfortable feelings. And can we simply just acknowledge them for the time being, and don't feel that we need to change them immediately for the better. We can just let them be for the moment. And check in with the sensations at your face. You know, we just released all these muscles. So did you tighten up? Did you tense up any of those muscles again? Around the forehead or the jaw, the eyes. And can we gently relax those muscles and let in a different feeling, one of softness and ease and comfort, into our face? So we can allow this softening and relaxing to spread on its own to the rest of our body, helping our body to settle into meditation in its own time. And welcome, Venerable Palma. And among the different bodily sensations, see if we can highlight those sensations associated with breathing. And some of us are going to notice subtle sensations around our nostrils, where we can feel the air flowing in and out of the body. And if you've done much Theravada meditation, the Theravada tradition or Vipassana courses, you will have been most likely trained to notice those sensations at the nostrils. Some people prefer or notice the movement of the chest expanding and contracting with each breath. And others may really get more awareness in the rising and the falling movements of the abdomen. And if you wish, you can just practice moving from one to the other. Just notice what feels more familiar to you. And we rest our attention on some of these breath sensations, allowing ourselves to fully experience our in-breath and our out-breath. And on this Sunday, I was at Green Gulch, which is the sort of the country branch of our San Francisco Zen Center. And the teacher there was talking about this intimate relationship that we have with the breath. It's comforting and very similar to the intimacy that one has with one's mother as a child. And whereas not everybody had that kind of relationship with their mother, maybe some people didn't have a mother or remember their mother, one can get some similar kind of comfort from the breath and just allow a recognition of that. This breath supports us. It's our life. And you can rest your attention here with the breath. And each time you notice yourself breathing out, use it as an opportunity to release. So you release anything unhelpful and unwanted, just like the way we breathe out to let go of the stale air in our lungs. So if you wish, you can gently say the guiding word release in your mind each time you notice an out-breath. And this is to remind our body that it does not need to hold on to unnecessary tightness and contraction. And also to remind ourselves that our mind can let go of thoughts and memories and fantasy that kind of preoccupy it, that maybe aren't helpful. We can also release the states of dullness and drowsiness and allow them to flow away with the out-breath. So we're not forcing anything to happen, we're not pushing anything away. And when you notice that your attention is distracted elsewhere or you're feeling drowsy, just simply invite it to come back to the breath sensations and to release on the out breath. If you wish, you can just stay in meditation while I talk a little bit about discernment, developing wisdom, discerning wisdom. So you definitely need mindfulness. It's very essential in this development of wisdom. And here we're talking about this mental quality that's able to discern characteristics, good qualities, not so good qualities of an object under examination. So mindfulness is what is helping us to hold our attention on an object and to be able to investigate and analyze. And when we come to a conclusion regarding that object, mindfulness familiarizes with that conclusion to deepen our understanding and knowledge of that object. So, for example, you're in the supermarket and you're looking for some kind of washing powder. So you might be doing a little bit of research. You might go on to Google and find out what's the best washing powder to get. What, maybe it's tested on animals, maybe it's not. What are the ingredients? So here you're using your discerning wisdom to decide how you want to spend your money and what you want to wash your clothes in. And then, in order to help familiarize ourselves, the companies are very clever at their marketing. They might put a beautiful logo on there that kind of indicates how clean their product is. And so there you are, very simple. You've used your discerning wisdom to decide what kind of washing powder you would like to buy. So when it comes to compulsive and involuntary thoughts that disturb our body and mind, we have a really hard time putting this aside. Very often it overruns us. So we get angry, upset about something. It's very, very hard to take a step back and not kind of reach out and blame. And this is because our attention is caught up in the contents of our thoughts, and we take them to be the reality of the moment. So we are confused and come to believe that our thoughts about the past, for example, as if it's something that's happening right now, or we get lost in thoughts about a future scenario and we act as if it was real. We don't realize that our attention is already involved in such thinking and is no longer in touch with whatever is actually happening in the present moment. So we're not present at all. We're just making a bunch of stuff up. We're believing in it and we're getting emotional about it. And then we act on it. And then we start to wonder why we have problems in our relationships with people. So with mindfulness and discerning wisdom, and this takes a bit of discipline, we have to start to recognize what's in the mind in order to be able to get on top of it. But we can learn to differentiate between the different types of objects our mind is engaging in, such as sensing different tactile sensations, including the breath, which is what we've done just then, hearing sounds, thinking in words and images, and so on. And most of us are not so aware of the power of our thinking, especially when it comes to involuntary thoughts. And we really believe in without question. And then we start to follow through as if things are real. I mean, often we think that because something's in our mind, it's true. It's not always the way. So when we start to train ourselves in the meditation on mindfulness of thoughts, we begin the process of recognizing when we are involved in thinking and learn to identify thinking as thinking. Discerning thoughts as just thoughts help us to put the contents of those thoughts into perspective. And we have to start to develop an idea that what is being said in those thoughts to ourselves may not be true. So some of us who struggle with self-critical, judgmental thoughts can learn to regard all of these self-judgments in our thinking as just thoughts and not necessarily reality. And we can learn to develop this skill of mindfulness and discerning wisdom with regards to thoughts. And this can go a long way to relieve us from the stress and distress brought on by our compulsive, involuntary thoughts, particularly when it's directed towards ourselves. So we're going to do a meditation on the mindfulness of thoughts in a minute. But what I wanted to do is to get some feedback from people. Did anybody have anything you wanted to share from the last meditation or about anything I've just said? No? Shall we keep going then?
Katy, just one thing.
Hi.
Hi. It helps me a lot to, these shorter segments are very helpful to me. And also, I like the way you break it down, like notice bodily sensations is very helpful for focus. And breathe, particularly focusing on an aspect of the breath. Those are all, they've been very helpful to me because a lot of times I try to meditate too long, I get carried away by my thoughts, and it's very helpful to do it in a more focused way like we are.
Thank you. For me too, because I think it's so easy to go off and space out and drift off into the netherland. And that's not really particularly helpful because we're just reinforcing what I was just talking about. We're not really engaging any kind of discerning wisdom. We're just allowing ourselves just to float off, and sometimes it's not always helpful. But isn't it amazing when you catch yourself thinking about something and getting emotional about it, and you realize it's just a story you've made up, and it's like, oh my God, it's just so funny that everybody does it,
Yeah.
It just really is like, oh my God, this isn't even real. It might not even happen. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for the feedback, Susan. I think it's helpful for everyone to hear.
Thank you.
Certainly for me. I mean, I have the same experience as you. Okay. So in this meditation on mindfulness of thoughts, we're going to give mindful attention to the different kinds of thoughts that arise during the meditation. So we're going to make use of our breath sensations as a support or an anchor for our attention during the gaps between our thoughts. And maybe we find ourselves feeling dull or drowsy. You can just, again, return your attention to the breath, steady it, and make it like a point of reference to help discern our thoughts without getting caught up in them. So we can regard our breath as a companion that can accompany us on our mindfulness journey without feeling we have to constantly focus on it at all times. So to facilitate the process of discernment, we can start with making a note in our mind, such as thinking. When we have become aware that something's arisen in our mind, some thoughts have arisen in our mind. And we can repeat this process, working on refining our awareness of thoughts, and may even be able to start to discern what they're about. So when we become a little bit, more proficient in this process of recognizing thinking as thinking, we can refine our power of discernment by differentiating the different types of thinking our attention is involved in. So we can replace the simple label of thinking with others that are a little bit more consistent with their content. So thoughts about the past could be noted, you could say maybe remembering. Or maybe if you're planning the future, you could think, okay, these are planning thoughts. And those involved in a fantasy, it can be daydreaming. And this way, by categorizing your thoughts, we can come be a little bit more mindful and perhaps a little bit wiser in regards to the types of habitual thinking that we're engaging in. And if you wanted to get really kind of into this, you could sort of have a little pen by your side and make a note of how many times in this meditation did I think about the future? Was I planning? Was I engaging in negative self-talk? And then maybe you can recognize at the end of the meditation, gosh, I didn't realize I'd do all that. And then you don't give yourself a hard time. You just become aware. Be very objective with yourself and be very gentle. Okay, so let's just go back into our comfortable meditation posture again. And just allow your shoulders to be relaxed. So you can either rest your arms on the arms of a chair or just comfortably in your lap, however it works for you. Just be in touch with the simple sensations of the body and allow yourself to settle back into meditation. And again, noticing the areas of softness and ease, relaxation and comfortable feelings. And can we welcome these feelings and allow ourselves to enjoy them? And also notice areas of tension or tightness with the uncomfortable feelings. And can we simply acknowledge them for the time being? Don't feel that you need to change immediately. Just check in with the sensations in your face, the crown of the head, and just gently relax all the muscles and allow ease and softness and comfort into your face and your body, into your limbs. Just allow yourself to settle back into meditation in your own time. And among the different bodily sensations you may be experiencing, see if you can highlight those sensations associated with breathing. So some of you may notice the subtle sensations of the inhale and the exhale at the nostrils, slightly cooler as you're inhaling and slightly warmer as you're exhaling. Some others of you may notice the gentle rising and falling of the movement of the chest. You might even notice the heart beating. And some others of you may be more aware of the rising and falling movements of your abdomen. Particularly if you have a belt around your waist, you might notice that a little bit more. And so rest your attention now on some of these breath sensations and allow yourselves to fully experience your in-breath and out-breath. So at some point, your introspection will alert you to the presence of thoughts. Or maybe you're already aware of some form of thinking. And just turn your mindful attention to those thoughts and recognize we are engaged in thinking. So as we talked about earlier, you might want to make a note and say, thinking, to be clear about what we have discerned. So without getting entangled in the contents of those thoughts, you can gradually, very gently return your attention to the breath, and you can release those thoughts on the out breath. And perhaps you can categorize your thoughts when you notice you're thinking. Perhaps you are remembering. Are you remembering and fantasizing? Are you changing the story? Are you just fantasizing? Are you planning? And just again, very gently release those thoughts on the out breath. So when you start to recognize that your attention has been drawn into thinking or remembering or planning or fantasizing, take a note of it as such and then come back to the breath. Everyone relax. We're going to try that again in a minute in a bit more detail. I just wanted to find out if anybody had anything they'd like to share from that last little session. Felice, you looked up for a second. I'm wondering if you had anything you wanted to say.
Just that I would find myself drifting sort of like a daydream, but it was really subtle.
Ah, interesting. I think that also happens, I mean, I noticed when I was doing those Theravada, the Vipassana meditations, sometimes you get subtler and subtler and subtler, and it gets harder and harder to feel the sensations because everything is getting much, much more subtle. So it's wonderful that you could recognize it. That's really good. Well done. Shows you're getting, I mean, it shows a little bit of progress, perhaps. Is that what it feels like?
It does, because I know it definitely does. I think over the last week, even noticing that sort of dreamlike quality. It doesn't have words. It doesn't have a verbal content, but there it is. It's a visual. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, Katy, I think it's very helpful to place it in, discern the category of thought, of thinking. The category, that's really helpful to getting yourself disentangled from it.
I think it's a really helpful thing for me. It's really helpful in terms of identification and kind of honing in on, gosh, that's so hilarious that I just made up that fantasy, because the problem is for most of us, we all do this to a certain extent. But there are some people in this world who go a little bit further, and then they start to believe what they're thinking as reality, which is why there are so many problems and children get kidnapped and kinds of weird things happen. Or someone decides they want to go out and shoot a bunch of people because they've had this kind of weird fantasy going on in their mind. It's unchecked and it's violent. And so, not wanting to bring that word into this session, but I think a lot of these things, people start to lose touch with reality. We all are that way, except to a certain degree. Some are more that way than others. And when you fully lose reality, often, I don't know if you've ever seen people on the street who are completely disassociated from reality, either whether it be through drugs or just through going out of their brain because they're so terrified being on the street. But that is it's just a matter of degree, There by the grace of God go I, this saying that we have. So I think it's really important that we keep a check on what is actually in our mind, particularly as we're all getting older. Some people will get a little bit, forgetful, and they might move into dementia. And when you talk to people who have Alzheimer's, it's like, I don't know what planet they're even on. And half the time they can't. I know it's the brain is degenerating. It's a little bit different, but it just is really very interesting that we really need to keep a check on what is going on in our mind. So so that what is in our mind stream is useful and helpful and beneficial and virtuous. Because if we continue to fill our mind with rubbish, like whatever it is we're watching on the television, it all imprints the mind. I don't know. It's kind of relaxing, to watch things. But sometimes if we go do it too much, I don't know how helpful it is. So anyway, if anything else anyone would like to share before we go on.
I think it's really important too for young people, like with social media.
Yeah.
Because I know this because they write about it, and I teach English classes and they write about it a lot in research papers. The difficulty that social media places, the pressures they have as a result of, they can't get away from it entirely. You can try, but it just seeps in somehow. It's in the ether. So that's a real problem for young people.
And I think it's something that they have to learn to live with because it's very much part of their culture.
Yeah.
If they want to be accepted, they have to also be engaging in it. Yeah, it's very difficult. Well done you for being an educator. Thank you for your service. It's not an easy job. And Jay, you want to say something? She did.
Yeah, I do. Got it. Okay. Look, now with regards to attention on the breath, I would have been exposed to that way over 50 years ago, and I struggle with it, and I still struggle with it. And I have identified what goes on for me is that watching the breath in and out, it's an action that's happening. And I find that action distracting. The best thing I have found, and I got this from the Vipassana folks, is to put my attention on the spot right below my nose where I can feel the sensation. And so my attention is away from an action and it's on a sensation. And that works much better for me. That's just, how my brain's rigged up, that I would find the action of breathing in and out a distraction.
And that is, thank you for clarifying that too, because that's the way I was also taught. And they would say there's a spot at the base of the nose right here. And they would say that as you're breathing in and out, it actually activates the sensation there. But depending on a person's shape of their nose, it's going to be in a different place maybe, and also depending on who's been training them. So in Australia, there is this Burmese tradition. I don't know if that's who you learn from, but that's where they actually get you to focus the sensation. they do talk about the air moving in and out, but they talk about the sensation at the base of the nose. So thank you for clarifying that, Jay. And there are some schools of thought that say not to focus on the breath when you're meditating. So for some people, breathing is helpful, and for some people, sensations are helpful. So I think what was good about this last meditation was that they were advising to focus on either the rising and the falling of the chest, the belly, or because that for me is more of it's not an action, but it is an action, but it's also a sensation. And then the sensation at the base of the nose. So you can do that exactly. So I would go with that, Jay, if that's also the way you've been trained. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And it was when that focus shifted when I was taught that. It was such a relief because I'd had years of frustration with trying to put my attention on the breath and finding it, in fact, distracting. So
interesting.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
So what?
And that was for me. That was with the Goenka Vipassana people.
Right. Oh, okay. So the Indian.
Yeah.
So what was it that was particularly distracting for you about the breath?
Just simply that it's an action. And I think I've got subtle thoughts going on in the background, some stress around breathing, probably going back to a childhood. I was in LA in the 50s, and breathing in because of the smog actually could be hurtful.
I see. That's
incredible.
Interesting.
Shocking.
So there was some trauma around breathing in.
Yeah. I suspect it's very low level, but I think that's around. Wow, it was an interesting experience, to say the least.
We all experienced in 2020 some absolutely horrible air here in the Bay Area. It was extraordinarily difficult. We weren't even wanting to go outside if it was, the AQI was sometimes as high as 80. It's very, very unhealthy. And even down at Rinpoche's house in Aptos, there weren't even any fires down there. And it was just blowing in from, I don't know where it was coming from, Oregon, somewhere up north.
Yeah.
But it was quite traumatic and quite difficult. So anyway, thank you for raising that. It's really excellent.
Yep.
So, okay. So now we just settle back into your meditation. And we're going to do a little meditation on mindfulness and functional thinking. But let's just see what it is. And just recognize that mindfulness is compatible with functional thinking. So we can apply mindfulness and discerning wisdom to our thought processes. And we can then become aware of the variety of thinking we engage in. So not all our thoughts are necessarily dysfunctional or harmful, as we know. And actually, we do engage in a lot of functional thinking that contributes to our success as a species in terms of adapting to different living conditions. And our ability to think is vital to our problem-solving abilities and our creativity. So in the practice of mindfulness of thoughts, when we become more proficient in this recognizing thinking as thinking, we can refine our power of discernment by differentiating the different types of thinking our attention is involved in. So as we said earlier, and thoughts about the past, again, remembering, planning, fantasies, daydreaming. And so this way we become more mindful and wiser in regards to the types of habitual thinking that we are engaging in. So this is an example in which mindfulness and discerning wisdom are aided by invoking appropriate functional thinking, and this strengthens the recognition of the nature of these thoughts. And even though we might be using a few simple terms like remembering, worrying, daydreaming, and things like that. In the practice, we need to realize that the act of noting or labeling with these words or concepts, that's also a form of thinking. It's also a form of discernment. So we can regard this actually as functional thinking because it serves the function of helping us to strengthen the discernment of thoughts as thoughts, so as to protect our mind from falling back into believing in and following these involuntary thoughts. And some of these involuntary thoughts may not even be just from this life, because we bring thoughts in from, they say from past lives. There's even some discussion that trauma can be handed down generationally through DNA. I don't know how true that is. I don't know what the research around that is, but I found it fascinating. This is an idea that it's not just a familial patterns that can be passing down trauma, but that it can be actually held in the person's body. Maybe it gets passed in from the mother, I don't know. But so it's not always from maybe this life, this body. So it's really good to become aware of it and not to judge it and not to feel overwhelmed by it, and to try and just accept and be humble about what it is we're seeing and be happy that we're noticing it. So this also leads us to an understanding of the underlying reactivities that we have, the way we react to situations. And this kind of drives what we choose to do and the actions that we take. And it helps us to initiate a process of releasing and letting go. And we can withdraw from the investment of our attention and belief in the contents of our habitual and reactive thoughts. And we can just realize that they're not the reality of our life. So let's just settle back into our meditation posture again. And we can just, again, just revisit this mindfulness meditation on thoughts. And settle back into your meditation posture. Just relax. And as Jay finds it easy, if you are feeling a sensation at the base of the nose when the air is coming in and out, you can return there. It's going to be different for different people. You might notice the sensations of the air as you're breathing out on the outside of the nostrils or the tip of the nose. So start to notice the different types of thinking you are involved in. So just start for a minute, all thoughts recognize as thinking. So now start to replace simple label of thinking with other labels that better reflect the contents of your thoughts. So it's best to be both accurate and neutral in tone, so as to not provoke negative judgmental attitude towards yourself and your thoughts. So, as I said earlier, possible labels can include words like remembering, planning, daydreaming, worrying. And you could maybe add a tone of curiosity. Oh, gosh, there's a little bit of anger there. That's interesting. So be fascinated by what's in your mind. It's your mind. In this way, we can become, as we get into more detail and more accuracy and more awareness, we can become more mindful and a little bit wiser in regards to these habits of thinking that we're engaging in. So we are doing this pretty much every night in our Vajrasattva meditation, the very end when we come to the resolve, opponent power. So in order to be able to do that opponent power, we need to have a little bit of discernment about what it is that's going on in our mind. What kind of actions are we taking? And just notice as we're doing this, we'll do this for another 2 or 3 minutes. How is this changing your relationship with your thoughts? And what benefits can you gain from practicing in this way? So let's just try this for a little while. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Labeling your thoughts. Okay, everyone, just relax. How was that for people? Does anyone have anything they want to share? Or do you just want to keep meditating? David, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
You look like
I-
you're about to say something. It's like-
I've actually done this in another class also, and I've done it a little bit on my own.
Mm,
And it seems like for me,
Mm.
I'm less likely to experience dullness or excitement if I'm aware of my thoughts coming and going. So
uh,
seems good.
oh, okay. So are you labeling them as thinking, or you're just aware of the thoughts coming and going and not necessarily following
Yes.
them? Oh, I see. Amazing.
I am labeling them. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
But you've been doing this for a little while by the sounds of it. This is not the first time.
Yeah.
So you've had a bit
Yeah.
of practice. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, David. Well done.
Mhm.
Susie, okay. Susan had to just go. Anybody else have anything they want to say? We're going to move on to a meditation on loving kindness now. David, sounds like you've done this course before.
I did a course on Mahamudra.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you do with?
Elaine Jackson.
Oh, okay. She's
Yeah.
amazing. She's really
She's
super.
good.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Okay. When I was down in one time when I was down in living in San Francisco with Venerable Rabina sent me down to Vajrapani to do a 6-week retreat. And there was this huge, it was a Guru Samaja. Lamsa Rinpoche was there giving initiations. He was driving backwards and forwards every day from the house with his entourage. And then everybody at the end took off and went down to His Holiness's teachings in the Los Angeles area. And Elaine was the director of Vajrapani at that time. And I think she really wanted to go, but because I was in retreat, she volunteered to stay and cook for me, which was so extraordinary. I couldn't believe it. And she's like the best cook ever. She's wonderful. Yeah, she's really a mother. Everyone, she's got a very beautiful, she's a wonderful teacher. Okay, thanks for sharing that, David. Felice, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, for me, it was interesting because I wasn't noting verbal, but almost I noticed sensation. So I thought I would label that as nonverbal or pre-verbal, because that does happen sometimes. Otherwise, I would space out on that. There's a tendency, and I, probably been trying to unlearn this to disassociate at some level. So to even call that a sensation or a pre-verbal thought helps me to be present with it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. Everyone's going kind of deep with this. It's really good. Yeah. Karen, did you have anything you wanted to share? Can't see you. No? That's okay. Oh, can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Yeah. I'm not on top of my game tonight. I had a COVID booster yesterday.
Oh.
And I think it's affected. I'm very sleepy and
Ah.
tired.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you get some good rest tonight.
Yeah.
Sleep it off. Drink plenty of water. And they say also to drink, I think I heard electrolytes as well.
Okay.
Anyway, did you have something you wanted to share? You're just feeling tired.
Just tired. I'm when I'm meditating, I'm just fighting drowsiness.
Okay, and that's okay. I think, given that you've had a COVID booster, perhaps just rest. You should try not to do too much. Just rest with it. And just any nice feelings, just allow that to happen. And then just notice very gently if your mind is wandering off, just notice, oh, it's wandering off. A bit of planning going on and bring it back just as best you can. And if that's even too much. The other thing you can do if you want is you can lie down and do the meditation lying down, which is what I think Felice did last week. So, you know, if for this last meditation, if you would like to do that, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And looks like we've lost Venerable Palmer. That's okay. All right. So let's get back into, we've got maybe 20 something minutes left. So we're now into mindfulness and analytical meditation, which is kind of what we've started doing. So we're looking now at mindfulness in support of functional thinking and evaluation. So when we pay mindful attention to an object of interest, we can then examine and evaluate it either in general or in detail. So such examination and evaluation could involve thinking, for example, applying concepts and reasoning to gain a better understanding of an object. And this is called analytical meditation. So, like I said, with the example of buying some washing powder or buying a computer or buying a phone, we use all of that. We don't just go out and buy something. We've already decided based on some information that we've received that we want that thing. I don't know. That's how I do it anyway. I'm very careful. I always do a lot of research. I want to get the best bargain. So we're just using all our analytical thinking to do this. So now let's just roll back to this practice of loving kindness. This is something that's taught very often in the Theravada tradition, but it's also very much part of the Mahayana. And the Theravada is, may you be well, may you be happy. Da, 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 da. So bring to mind, when we bring to mind, for example, a loved one, and allow a visual image of that person to appear to you. You're attending to this person with mindfulness. And we can further reflect and examine what we know about this person, especially in terms of their good qualities and their many loving, kind actions towards us. And then as we're thinking about this person, we may respond with feelings of loving kindness. And our heart feels full and we feel warm. And in this way, mindfulness, reflection, and discerning wisdom have all contributed to enhance the wonderful quality of loving kindness. So we can also apply the same process to ourselves, making ourselves the focal object of our own reflection and practice of loving kindness. So the practice of mindfulness and discerning wisdom not only allows us to inquire and gain a better understanding of the object or topic under consideration, we can further nurture the positive qualities that have arisen as a result of such reflection by giving mindful attention to them. We can reinforce ourselves, basically. This is what the Lama say you should do. If you get some kind of an insight, you should go back and go over that again and again, keep coming back to it so you strengthen it. So these are some of the benefits of mindfulness in the context of analytical meditation. So let's just do this meditation on loving kindness for self. So in this meditation, we extend loving kindness towards ourselves by way of the support of a few simple phrases. And feel free to experiment with different words, changing them as you go along. And by repeating slowly and mindfully these phrases, we can start channeling our attention in the direction of genuine care and concern towards ourselves. And then allow time for your heart to respond with the appropriate feelings when it's ready. So our mindful awareness encompasses both ourselves as the object of kindness and the inner quality of loving kindness itself, as it kind of is infused in our mind and our heart. So to facilitate the arising of genuine loving kindness towards ourselves, in between our repetition of the phrases of loving kindness, pause to reflect on the basis of having ourselves as the recipient of our own loving kindness and concern. So we can see that we are just like everyone else in that all of us want to be happy and not suffer. And reflect on its validity in relation to our own experience. Is it true that deep down, I really want to be happy and not suffer? And we can see that in our everyday life. We can also recollect other reasons to strengthen this quality of love and kindness towards ourselves, so we could be seeing the goodness within us. For some of us, it could be sensing our yearning for love or remembering past experiences of happiness and wishing that for ourselves. And for some of us, no reason is needed for extending loving kindness to ourselves. So again, settle into your meditation posture and just notice that gentle softness and ease, relaxation, comfortable feelings. And notice areas of tightness, discomfort, and just acknowledge them for the time being. So just check in with the sensations in the body, going from the top of the head all the way down through our toes, just relaxing everything as you go. And just settle into the meditation in your own time. Just allow yourselves to go inside and just sink in, but not space out. Just release any tension around your thinking. You can try what Jay suggested, noticing the sensation of the breath at the base of the nose or the nostrils as you're breathing in and out. So as we move into the meditation on loving kindness, we can choose a few simple phrases that best express our understanding of what it means to love and share and care and show concern. So there's a few stock phrases. We can change them as we go along. So, may I live in safety. So this is what we would want for our loved ones. Wishing oneself to feel safe and to have security in life. May I be happy. Wishing oneself to feel joy, cheerfulness, and happiness in the mind and heart. May I be healthy. Wishing oneself to enjoy physical health and well-being. May I live with ease. wishing one's daily life and work flows smoothly, easily. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Just repeat these phrases slowly and mindfully at your own pace. And just stay connected to the intentions behind these words and extend loving kindness towards yourselves. And coming back to the phrases when you feel distracted. And don't worry if you're not particularly feeling loving towards yourself. You can just allow our heart plenty of time to respond in its own way. We can rely on the words to guide our hearts towards loving kindness. And when on occasions the nice warm feelings of love and kindness arise, we can entwine them among the phrases and offer them to ourselves. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. In between repetitions, we can reflect on the basis that support or promote loving kindness towards ourselves. Deep down, all of us want to be happy and not suffer. And can we pause and think about this statement? Is that true for you? And how does this wish to be happy manifest in your life? And when you feel ready, come back to the phrases and continue to offer loving kindness to yourself. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. We can also reflect on other reasons that activate loving kindness for ourselves. So some of us might see the goodness. You might see the goodness within yourself. I mean, try and see the goodness within yourself. It's there. Others may remember past experiences of happiness and wish that to continue.
Unknown.
And still others may sense the yearning for love within. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Okay, everyone, just relax. So, how did everyone find that? Was it difficult? No. Well done. Okay, Shayla, you're nodding your head. And Margaret's laughing. So there's maybe some recognition there. Shayla, why was that hard for you?
It was hard for me. I couldn't figure out how to make that warmth of, kindness that I feel for other people. I couldn't turn it around towards myself. It definitely helped with the mantras of, I'm safe, and that definitely helped, but I couldn't figure out how to turn it around. It just, yeah.
For that, the love that you have for your own, is it your daughter? Is it your daughter?
My son.
Your son and Source?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the same love that you can then turn around and have for yourself. But if you're not used to doing that,
no.
what are you doing instead? You don't have to share that. Just think about it.
I don't do anything. Yeah, I don't do anything.
Okay. So this is where it's really super good to recognize what's going on in the mind. And I don't know. I think, are you from the Midwest?
No, I'm Utah.
From Utah. I heard it's a Midwest thing to be fairly self-effacing. And I don't know if that's true. But
I was raised LDS, and I was raised LDS, and
you were raised
back
what?
in the day, Mormon.
And
so
I see.
Back in the day, women were expected to give everything to their families and never for themselves. So
Never to
Yeah,
expect
I think
anything in
that's-
return. Wow.
I think that's a cultural thing. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Wow. That's kind of tough. Are you still in touch with your family?
Yes.
You
I'm
are.
still here.
Okay. So then there's nothing wrong, because in the airplane when they tell you if the oxygen mask drop down, put them on yourself first, because if you can't breathe, you can't rescue the child that's there with you. So in a way, you kind of, it's really vital to direct some of that loving kindness towards yourself. I mean, you must have it to a certain extent, otherwise you wouldn't still be here. You're not a reckless person. You take care of yourself, turn up on time. So you're kind to people. So I think it's sometimes it's good and healthy to recognize that you need to be able to nurture yourself. It's like I was saying the other day about the breath, allowing ourselves, because I never connected this idea of allowing the breath, allowing myself to have an intimate relationship with my breath. We do have it. I just didn't recognize it till I heard about it on Sunday. Allowing your breath to comfort you. So who was it? Oh, she's left. Someone was saying how it was, they have problems. Oh, no, it was Jay. Jay was saying how there's some trauma with breathing. So that's difficult for her. So then she has a difficulty with breath and with breathing. But we do have a very intimate relationship with our breath. And so to allow that, and even allowing that into our heart, is an act of loving kindness, I think. So I want everybody this week to do that meditation, please. Maybe just a couple of minutes every day. I noticed a smile of recognition there, Margaret. Is there anything you wanted to share? We do have to go. I've got another meditation in half an hour, but oh, you disappeared. No, you can turn on the sound and there you go.
I'm sorry, I hit the wrong
No, that's okay.
button there. No, I just, loving kindness, it just hits a joyful chord in me just
Good.
to hear you say that.
Nice. And do you do that for yourself?
Oh boy, I've got some work to do. It's
Yeah,
easy for me to feel that with people and especially animals.
Right. Like Shayla, but not so much towards yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and there's nothing wrong. Don't go away and beat yourselves up about that. It's if you're not alone in this experience. So it's just very good to be able to nurture ourselves, because while we're nurturing ourselves, we're delivering a bunch of energy to ourselves. Felice, oh, I'm sorry, Felice, you have to miss. Okay. It's our last session. Anyway, what you guys could do, and I did want to check in again with Erin, but Erin, we have to leave. So if you come next week, maybe we can check in. I want to check in with everybody next week because this one's really important. So please, over the next week, at least once a day, for maybe even just a minute or two, practice those phrases. May I live in safety. May I be happy. May I have everything I need. And just, it's almost like an affirmation to say to yourself, and do something nice for yourself. If eating chocolate, or taking, for you busy parents and animal parents, like if you don't have much time or space in your own life, take some. Go for a walk, go to the spa, have your nails done, whatever it is you do that makes you feel a little bit nurtured. Have a massage that makes you feel nurtured or happy. Go and do that. So actually, and I also want everybody to do one kind thing for themselves this week. Massage, a walk, talk to a friend, go to a movie, whatever it is. Treat yourself, please, like it's your birthday. Will you all promise to do that? Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right, everyone. Lots of love and do take care. And Felice, I'm sorry we won't see you, but I hope to see you again sometime. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And Margaret, I hope we see you next week.
Yes,
you
thank
very
you.
much.
I plan on being here. I really like today. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's nice to have you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Erin. Thanks for hosting, Shayla. Thank you, David. And Karen, get some rest. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.